my mic on. Well, at least we're going to get the second half of the show on the mic. So, no, we can't do that. And then there's so many things to remember before I do this, and I just forgot to turn on my mic. But so the first half you're not going to hear, the second half you're. So anyway, we're talking about Joe Biden. Just to recap here for a second. No, Joe. Da da da. They threw him up there. Now everybody sees him. Now they can get rid of him. They have the backing to get rid of him. But how are they gonna? Because they really can't. His power-hungry wife, who treated him like a child or pet after the debate, said, "You did a great job, Joey. Way to go, Joey. You answered all the questions." They got little kid eating pablum in a high stool there, or whatever you call them, high chair. And like, way to go, little Joey. You ate all your pablum. Good boy. They want him. She wants him to stay in the race. And of course, his son Hunter does for sure, because he's going to jail. He's going to prison if somehow Joe doesn't get him out of this jam. So he wants him to stay in the race. So, that's about it. So there's not much you can do. And who do they have? Newsom, who ruined California. And like it's just a big schmozzle on the Democratic side. There's nobody that can run. Harris can't run. Newsom is a greaseball, sleazy guy. He has his own problems in California, and his own sexual misconduct allegations and everything else. And not only that, he might play a little bit in California, but when he gets to the Midwest and other states, in southern states and that, he's a nobody. So basically, there's nobody to run. I mean, who are you going to run? Hillary, a two-time loser, can't run her. She'd get crushed again anyway. Gretchen Whitmer, another loser from Michigan, nobody likes. Buttigieg, well, oh boy, he ruined Ohio, and he'd get crushed by the Trump train if he ever tried to run. Big Mike Obama makes the most sense, especially since his husband pulls all the strings of Barack. But many say he doesn't want to run. Well, I don't blame him. He's going to be totally exposed. And if you don't know what I mean, look it up. So then, moving further into the week, all of a sudden there was a ruling from the Supreme Court of the U.S., SCOTUS, saying that presidents do have certain immunities, right? So they need them to allow them to do their job as commander-in-chief. So now all of a sudden, all the stuff that came about Biden and the prosecution in New York, Alan Bragg and Menchin, or whatever his name is, the judge that do it, and Jack Smith, the guy the special prosecutor they sent in, all that's out the window now, because Trump probably had immunity anyway. So when that comes down the pipe, Trump's going to get off. He's going to get off. It probably will never go to trial. As a matter of fact, they were going to give him a sentencing on July the 11th. There goes our MPP, the Frito Bandito, right down the street here. He waved at me. I'm surprised he even knows who I am. Maybe he knows who I am better than I think. But yeah, the Frito Bandito. He's walking down the street. No sombrero this time. But anyway, so Trump's not going to be sentenced now till September, because these guys have to figure out exactly what they're going to do with this. And don't be surprised if it's all just dismissed, the whole thing. So that's what's going on there. And it's a big, huge ruling. So Creepy Joe found it so disturbing that he had to get into a press conference that night about this. So around 8 o'clock at night or so, he came on way past his sleepy time. But he told people basically in his address about this decision by the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court was out of line and blah, blah, blah. This is the end of democracy. Trump's going to be, the regular rhetoric they throw out about Trump. I mean, he had 4 years and he never became a dictator then, and he's not going to become one now. But of course, Sleepy Joe, this means a lot to him, because Trump's still in the thing, and now he's not even going to get charged. He won't be. No more election interference. That's over for him. So, so he was really, really hammering the Supreme Court about this. But he's thrown them under the bus several times. At the State of the Union address, he threw them under the bus too. But really, this address from the White House ended up being a campaign speech, political speech from the White House, which is, a no. That's not where you do political speech. It's telling people not to vote for Trump. The Supreme Court didn't do their job, but the people can do their job on election day. So saying don't vote for Trump, then you're going to do your job. So this is the kind of outfit they run. They're criminals. They're dirty. They play dirty. They weaponize the Justice Department and everything else. But everything they've done against Trump, they've tried to do, has backfired. None of it has worked. It's a disaster for them. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when it's all said and done with this Supreme Court ruling. So that's on Trump's side. It's a good thing. Biden's crime family are out the door, and they're going to be gone. I mean, they're not going to be back. It's going to be Trump, and you just stay tuned and see what happens from now going forward, because the rubber's going to hit the road now, especially moving up to the convention, Republican convention in July here, the Democratic convention August 7th, and we'll see what happens with those. So let's see. Now, the first half of the show, we didn't get it on the microphone, so now I got to figure out how to do that if I can. I don't know. I tried before, I couldn't do it, and maybe one of the guys I know can do it. Hey, if I got any listeners that know how to take a video and a soundtrack and put it on YouTube, I can appreciate the help. We got to a great discussion about downtown with Christian Bell and one gentleman named Gordon Helmke regarding what is happening downtown. And of course, I'm a big proponent of downtown, and I speak really against what's going on down here now because I've been here and I've seen the glory days of downtown. I saw when it was really busy and people came down here all the time. And I keep telling the story. My grandmother owned the house right on Park in St. Clair, the big white house and the little gray house beside it. I grew up down here. I worked down here when I was younger in a clothing store that doesn't exist anymore right now. And I loved it down here, and I love downtown. And it's a shame what's happened to it since the '70s over the last 50 years. It's a shame, but it doesn't change the fact that when you come down here, it is what it is, right? Um, Now, Christian Bell's a big advocate, and he talks about these heritage buildings and saving this, saving that, and he'll tell you you don't have vision and that kind of thing. And maybe I don't. Maybe he sees a different downtown in 5 or 10 years, but we've been seeing a different downtown, and it's been promised to us since the late '70s, and it hasn't gotten any better. It's probably gotten worse. It was really bad for a little while there. It got a little bit better than that, but it hasn't even come close to what he used to be. And this guy Gordon Helmke, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never met the gentleman. Says he's lived downtown for 20 years, and I say it's like Skid Row with homeless camped out, garbage and crap on the streets. The buildings around are blown out. The weeds are tall in places and look terrible. Empty lots. It's pretty bad. And they push back on me about that, and it's fine. I mean, that's what the discussion is all about. My opinion, my view as opposed to theirs. And I invited Gordon to come on the show. Lived down here for 20 years. He sees it every day. I mean, I'm down here every day, but I don't see everything going on. He does. He's going to come on. He said he had to go to Manitoba, and then he's going to come on the show. And I loved it. Great. Now, Christian, he says I have no vision for downtown. Well, I do have a vision, a wrecking ball. That's my vision for downtown, a wrecking ball. And the phone's ringing here. Uh, I'll see who it is. Hold it for a second, and we'll go from there. If there's a question, I'll give it to you guys on air. 4680Q, Paul speaking. Your city, your voice. Yeah. Hey, okay, Glenn, how you doing? I can't get you live on air because I'm videotaping this and that. But you have a question or a comment? Okay. Yeah. Oh, exactly, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Okay, great, man. I nobody can hear what you're saying, so I'm going to relay it to them and get it to them. Thanks for calling. Thanks, Lynn. Okay, so that was Glenn Botting. Now he was from Toronto and Milton, and he used to come to Niagara Falls all the time. And he says he's been to the downtown. He's seen when it was really, really great, and I agree with him 100%. But he says everything's changed now, and really, you've got Clifton Hill and you've got downtown, almost like two separate cities. And he goes, other than the bus station being downtown and the train station, of course, there's really nothing down here for anybody. And I agree with him 100%. Good comment, Glenn. And I remember when you were down here going up and down Queen Street with the rest of us crazy maniacs and having a good time, and when it was really, really good. And I wish I could get him on the line to do this, but I can't do it because you can't hear him. The radio guys will hear him, but the video guys won't hear him, so it'll be dead air basically. I got to find a way to rectify that and get these guys on the line through the phones. Maybe there's some way I can tap into the phone system and also hear what they're saying. I don't know, put a mic up. I don't know. I got to figure it out. It's not my big thing to figure that out, but I'm sure there's some solution to it. Maybe one of my other microphones or something on a set of headsets, or I don't know, something. Anyway, but anyways, apologies, Glenn. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate the calls. From He's from New Brunswick. He lives in New Brunswick now, but he remembers. He remembers. And my thing is, my vision is a wrecking ball. Clean it up and then start a real rebuild. I mean, like I say, I grew up downtown, worked downtown, saw the glory years, and we've been waiting. Anybody who remembers that have been waiting for 50 years for it to make a comeback, and it hasn't happened. And with the homeless on the streets and everything else going on, encampments, excrement on the sidewalks, needles, crime, the smell of weed up and down the street, the plethora of weed shops that seem to be growing by the day. How many people are lit up in this city? The weed shops all seem to be making money. It's a pretty big mess downtown right now. And I've been sitting 7 years watching this meteor crater across the street. There used to be a market and everything, but now it's just a weed infested pit. And I think the only solution to it, and Glenn probably will agree with me, is for city council to get involved, and I mean really involved. But they don't really care. They talk about downtown. We get a lot of lip service, but I don't think they really care. I mean, they couldn't even light up downtown with Christmas lights last year, and I mean, we're famous for the Festival of Lights in the winter. That's our bag. We have a beautiful Festival of Lights. We're proud of it. And they couldn't even put Christmas lights up in their downtown. How much interest do you think city council has? City council didn't even put up lights this year. Couldn't even be bothered. Springlicious fell by the wayside. The Thursday night motorcycle show left. The BIA was dissolved. They just couldn't get their act together. All other BIAs thrive in the city. City took it over, and since then, there's really not a lot. They give $4,000 or $5,000 to the Tuesday night car show. They wouldn't help out the motorcycle show on Thursdays. I don't know why they get preferential treatment, but they do, and it helps a couple of the bars down here, but that's about it. And the ice cream shop, of course, who is owned by a guy who runs the car show down here. Nothing wrong with the guy; he's a great guy. Ron's a great guy. I love him to death. You ask him to do anything for you, he will, and his ice cream is second to none, by the way. But I digress. I mean, Queen Street's been rebranded several times, and a ton of taxpayer dollars have been wasted trying to resuscitate it. The Q was one of the schemes they came up with, and who knows what else. Several people have come to try and revive it, have failed. I mean, how long do we beat this dead horse? How much taxpayer dollars do we send to try to work with this and these entrances and everything? I mean, here's the killer, and this is what I don't understand. Less than 2 miles away, we have 12 million people that come to the city and go to, like Glenn said, the Falls View area where the casinos are and the hotels are. That's one Niagara Falls. And then we have the other Niagara Falls. Now, why can't we get those 12 million people from that Niagara Falls and bring them down to this Niagara Falls? We're a mile away, 2 miles away. We have River Road, we have Victoria Avenue that come right downtown. 12 million people, and we can't get them down here. Where's the problem? Where's the problem? I mean, I don't understand what it takes to get those 12 million people down here. I don't even understand why they haven't come down here yet. If there's nothing to offer, if there's nothing for them to see, well, let's build something for them to see. Look what they did to downtown Las Vegas. I mean, you know, it's possible, but the city council has to have the will to do it. They got to get involved. I mean, we have City Hall down here. We don't have any banks now. They all moved out. But the sad part is, if we want to do it, we have to help ourselves. We got to get those 12 million people, and we got to get a percentage of them coming downtown. Christian says, I don't have vision, but well, who's got the vision to figure that one out? It's a ripe fruit waiting to be picked, and nobody can figure out how to pick that fruit. I don't know if it's because they don't want to. I don't know. And it's really funny. Is it all bad? No, it isn't. It isn't all bad. We have hair salons, good restaurants, ice cream shop, bars. They're all doing well. We have a cigar store and a music shop, clothing stores, bridal shop, accountants, lawyers. They do well in this decrepit environment down here. So the possibility is there, and with help, it could happen down here. But without City Hall, we don't. We don't have a prayer. You heard my interview last week with Mike Lucid regarding the University of Niagara Falls and what's really going on and the devastating effect that these online universities, which are covers for breaking immigration law, basically, and they add to the woes of the city and downtown, the effects of which are downtown is really yet to feel because we haven't seen the 10 to 20, 10 or 15,000 students, but they're coming, and we haven't felt it yet, but we're gonna. The important thing is that everyone keeps talking. Is there a solution to Queen Street? My view is the vagrants have to be told to leave. We got to get them out of here. Got to clean up the street. City council has to really clean up the area with tear down orders for these decrepit buildings and invest in rehabilitating these old buildings. I mean, you know, they're going to have to do it. And they've got to do something with these empty stores and empty lots. It's our city council that has to fix this problem. I know they keep saying they're working on it, but we've heard this for a long time, and nothing's come to fruition. We still have old buildings. The only way these buildings get torn down is for the homeless to burn them down. They go in there in the winter and light up fires in them to keep warm, and they burn them down. And then finally they're torn down. I mean, so it's a bad way to do it. Let's face it, you can lose lives, but it is what it is. So I've got to say that if the taxpayers don't want to spend the money, let Queen Street die. And like a phoenix, rise it up from the ashes, and we can make Queen Street great again. And that's about all that you can do with it. I don't see any other. They've been trying for 50 years and nothing. Unless somebody wants to put some money into it and put something down here that'll attract people. They're like downtown Las Vegas, covered in a big dome, so tourists want to come and see this thing. Downtown Las Vegas is packed. It's packed. Always, because of that. You know, like, we got to get those 12 million people to come down this area, and we need a city council. I mean, Christian Bell says, I have no vision, but he should be saying that to city council because my vision isn't going to help. It's city council's vision that is going to make it work. So I know he's saying that to me, but what he really means is city council has no vision because me personally, I can't make any changes down here. So to tell me that is, you know, it's I mean, it's a good sentiment, but it's a useless comment, really. That's what he should be telling us to a city council. Anyway, Thanks for listening in. The video, well, half of it, you're going to catch half the chat. The other part is going to be silent, like a silent movie, me sitting here talking and looking at the camera. But the podcast will be on 4680q.com. So you can listen to the first half and watch the second half. How about that? And I'll see if I can get somebody to drop that soundtrack in there and make it all work somehow. Anyway, tomorrow we have Pat Sirianni coming in with a little Niagara history, of course. Pat's always has some interesting historical tidbits to talk about when we talk about Niagara Falls, Ontario. And he grew up downtown as well, so maybe we'll ask him a little bit about downtown, what he thinks it should happen. And I know Mike Lucid, who did a great show last Friday about the University of Niagara Falls, also has some ideas. He has a business down here, and he's had one since 2019. Also has some ideas on how we can make the downtown work. And there are people who do want to make it work. It's a matter of how do we do it. So Pat Sirianni tomorrow for Finally Friday. Excuse me. We start at noon sharp, and I promise I'll turn on my mics this time. It's hard to remember everything you got to do to get this show going, and I'm a one-man show here. So if I miss something, what are you going to do? Anyway, tune in tomorrow. Paul Calamere, your city, your voice, coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls in the studios of 4680Q Radio. Thank you for listening in. Watch the video. You're going to catch the second half with the audio track. And give me a thumbs up and hit the notification button. Subscribe, and then we get notifications when I'm on the air. And it'll all be good. Thank you to our sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop in Hamilton, Glowstone Lighting, for sponsoring this show. That's how we keep it going from our great sponsors. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the weather. It's 80 degrees, 90 degrees out there. Go crazy out there. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at noon with Pat Sirianni. Ciao, ciao. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.